Hello everyone, Fords here, and welcome to a bit of an impromptu video. A bit rusty, I've not done this for a while. This is a brand new game, Constracktion, and it's brought to you by Lepiaware Gaming Studios. And if that name's not familiar to you, they are the developer behind Diesel Railcar Simulator, which has gone and grown its own wonderful little community as it's seen development throughout the years. Now this is a new game from the developer. And this is not a continuation of Diesel Railcar. This is not going to be a platform of hosting DLCs that has been known from other train simulators. This is very much a contained entity of its own. Now, I've been involved with this game for a little while now. I've helped provide some assets for the game, most of the music that you hear in the game as well, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with Lepiaware on this, and I genuinely hope to work with him again in the future. This game comes out on the 1st of September, which is Monday. So go over on Steam and wishlist it now and just enjoy what potential this game has to offer. That is an AI train. Specifically, it's a double heading train, and I believe that is coming from the ore mine? I could be wrong. Let's consult our map. I've taken a guess, and I'm pretty sure that's the ore mine east. So, what is Constracktion? Well, in a nutshell, I would boil this down to a open world, physics-driven, simulated puzzle game. Now they may ring off as a couple of buzzwords, but what does that mean and what do you do? Well, let's consult our map on the bottom right here. Now you can see that we have some industries. Steel mill at the bottom left, we have the the ore mine west, ore mine east, coal mine north, and coal mine south. And the basic premise of the game is this. You have an industry that has to deliver its goods to and from. That is it. It's a little bit more complicated because it's a train game, right? As you see on the industries, there are two numbers. The second number is the potential number of cargo that that industry can provide to the industry that it needs to deliver to. The first number is the current level that industry is on. There goes another AI train, and I hope they don't collide. If we hear a whistle or a bang, yeah, we have a rough idea what's happened. So you can see here that the ore mine west and the ore mine east are 5 of 5. That means they are delivering the 5 units of cargo that they can potentially deliver out of a maximum of 5. So that means those industries are delivering at full percent, 100% rather. And the only way that an industry can work is when it is connected directly to the industry it needs to deliver to. And that is where we welcome your main locomotive for the game, and this is your track layer. Now, Constracktion is a very simple premise for a game, but it's delivered to you in a really unique and fascinating way, and that is the ability to lay track anywhere you want, how you want, for the AI train to be allowed to do the journey that it needs to do. Let's go over things a little bit, shall we? The track layer is a very simple machine. We have the brake lever here. It's a three-stage lapped brake with 4 positions: off, 1, 2, and 3. The same is for the throttle: 1, 2, and 3, and off. We have a simple forward and back reverser, and we've got a couple of gauges. Now this game is set beyond reality. It's not designed to replicate a location or time period. You're not going to see a train with a name, model, or number. This is a game for fun. It is built as a leveled puzzler open world experience. It's not a simulator per se. It is simulated physics. Don't get consumed into expecting particular locomotives or industries or terrain. That is not the premise here. This is not the purpose. We need to lay track. But how do we do that? Well, let's go to a brand new level so we can talk about that. So you join me here on level 2. This is a brand new game of level 2, and we're here on the main line at our home base. So let's talk a little bit about what is the home base, what is our train, and what is our purpose beyond making track, and how we go about doing that. So you can see from the surroundings that we have a little infrastructure of track that is baked into the map. We cannot remove this track. This track is cemented for us, and this is because it's home base. We need to traverse across a couple of platforms, and let's explain why. You can see that our first car here is a flatbed. And you can see on the UI at the bottom here where it says laying track that we have currently 1 mile of track on board. That's important. The second one to make note of is where it says grade here. So there are 3 values on this. Grade 0 is the first value, grade 0.0%, is the level of track we are instructing the track layer to lay. Now we're currently on level built track, we don't need to build any track at the moment, but that is the value that that represents. The second value, 0.1%, represents the current track that we're on. Now it's not 100% flat because it's 0.1, but we have a rough idea of what the gradient is of the track that we're driving on. The third is the most important of the 3, and that is the dirt percentage. So what does that mean? Well, you can see at the back of our consist we have a gondola, and we need to utilize that in the way that we build track. But to do that, we need to be in a position to lay track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive forward here, and we're going to get to the end of the track where we can show you how the system works. Now we're at the end of the track. We need a couple bits of information before we make any commitments. And the first is, where are we going? So if we open up our map at the bottom here, we can see that the industry that we're looking at there, ore mine west. One piece of information that I say is 100% crucial to anything that you're going to do in this game is what can be found on the map, and that is on the bottom right where it says height. That value is representing the current height of the player on the terrain, and where we are sat at the moment we are minus 0.1 feet, and we need to get to that terrain. At the entrance to ore mine west we have a little runoff here with wooden pillars, and they are an indication of where we need to align our track to so we can join up with this piece of track work here. We can also see at the bottom right of the map here that we have a height of minus 16 feet. So that's told us a crucial bit of information. We need to descend 16 feet from our location over there. That's simple, right? Back on board, we know what we need to do. We need to descend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this lever here. Now this lever is linked to the first value of the grade system there. What we can do is we can lay a plus or minus consistent gradient of our choice. We have a maximum of 4% up and 4% down. You'll have to excuse the texture on the gauge here. I'm using a pre-release. It will be fixed. So we need to descend. So I reckon a value of minus 1.5% will get us down to a level where we can be leveled with that track. We've set the gradient we want. Now this lever here is useful when we can see the red UI appear at the end of a track network. Now that actually indicates the direction we're laying track in. The lever is in the middle of the console here, which means that we're actually laying straight track here. The 2 left and the right red markers represent the maximum curvature of track that we can actually lay. To show you that, I can move that fully to the left, and that will align to that, and to the right it will align to that as well. We can make things a little even more interesting as well, because we can actually limit the curvature of track that we want to lay, and that is in the case of you want to lay track that is suitable for fast travel, so you can have a bit more of a consistency there. In this case we're going downhill, we're doing a bit of a tutorial. We don't really need to limit our curvatures. So looking forward, we know that we're going downhill, but there's also some lumps in the terrain. We have a bit of a lump here. And we know that because we can utilize the texture of the terrain here. The topology of the terrain is perfectly encapsulated with the ground textures, so you have a rough idea of the height differences as you traverse across the terrain in the track layer. So we can tell that there is a gradient here and there's a descension here, so there's a bit of an S-curve going on here. So there are ways to utilize the terrain towards your destination, or you can actually descend through it. By lowering the gradient you can actually cut into the terrain, and as much as you can cut into it you can actually raise your track above the terrain, and that is where your dirt unity comes from. As we make cuttings into the terrain we will fill the gondola because we need to put that dirt somewhere. But once your gondola's full you can no longer cut into the terrain, and that's where you end up with roller coaster like tracks like that. So It is in our best interest for the AI to capably traverse the terrain, so we want efficient track laying. So this is where you have a management skill of managing your dirt, managing your track laying to the destination that you want to get to, and do that in a very sensible sort of way. We can see with this track that we're about to lay here that there is a little dip. There's a little raise above us at the moment, so we're going to actually raise and lower as we go. At the moment, let's just lay a straight piece of track. We've got our track laying grade at minus 1.5%. We'll take the brake off and we'll slowly move forward, and we'll see what the track lay does when it gets to the end of a network. So there are a couple of things worth note. Firstly, on the track laying icon, we can actually see that the track value, the track amount that we have on board is actually decreasing because we can only carry a maximum of 1 mile's worth of track. The second is, of course, we're actually manipulating the terrain here. We can see that we're actually cutting into the terrain as we make that 1.5% downgrade. If we speed things up a little bit, we'll start noticing a couple more things escalate with our statistics as we do that. The first one is, of course, looking at the icon, we can see that the dirt percentage that we're actually accumulating in the gondola is going up. And that's obviously because we're cutting into the terrain at this point. And we need to do that so that we can provide a stable, consistent gradient for the AI to traverse. There are other issues as well. Why are we heading in this direction? And where is the cutoff for our goal? Well, this is where we reflect back to the map icon. You can see at the bottom right there that we're actually at a minus value of 8 feet. And we know that that industry is minus 16 feet. So we know we need to keep going. But as I mentioned before, with the texture of the terrain, we can see that we're actually going to go through another hill here because we can see the difference in the gradients. So what we can do is we can utilize the topology of the terrain to actually curve and weave around, so we best utilize the dirt that we're taking out or the dirt that we're putting down based on the direction of our track. As we're going along a bit of a cutting, we can still descend the percentage that we need to, but without making obscene cuttings to the terrain and having to forward think our dirt management system. Now, a piece of advice I have for everyone is do things slow. I panic and make squealy noises when we go a bit quick and end up pressing all sorts of buttons and derailing the train, but it's okay to go slow. It's okay to think things through and plan ahead. So I've stopped the train at the moment, and there are a couple of things that I need to think about. Firstly is we're still turning left and our industry is over here, so we could pretty much straighten out now. And if we take a little scout ahead, we can try and align ourselves with the wooden bollards that come out front of the industry, which are a good indication of where to align your track to so it perfectly connects to the pre-laid track of the industry. The second is, of course, we again know that that industry is minus 16 feet. So what is our current depth? Well, we are minus 15.3. So we're now aware of our height versus the industry. So we need to sort of level off because we want a very consistent, smooth transition. We don't want to jump, we don't want to drop. Now we know we don't need to descend much. I can actually reduce the gradient that we're going to lay the track at. So I've put that to minus 0.5 and we'll proceed ahead as normal. This time with the track layer laying straight. And we can see from the terrain in front of us that we're actually going to do quite a nice deep cutting here. But we need to be very careful the dirt percentage of our gondola, because it's going to raise dramatically. The more dirt you cut out, the more dirt that is put into the gondola. Now, I feel quite comfortable that the amount we're going to cut out here is quite manageable and we don't need to worry too much. So I'm quite comfortable that we can speed up a little bit here. Again, I don't want to go too fast because we do need to be prepared to stop. Because we can see that this is getting quite high now. Now I've put the brakes on, and that is because of one key value as I was driving forward, and that is our current height. You can see from the bottom right there that we've actually gone below 16, minus 16, that we need to level with this industry. So what do we do about that? Can we carry on our current trajectory? Yes, we can. We can tell the track layer to build track up, and we can try and manage that. But that means we've accumulated a lot of dirt unnecessarily. And any bit of dirt that we've accumulated, we need to lay that down somewhere. Dirt is a very weird currency. You have it or you don't, only in the way that your track layer is working. Let's actually go back. So another option that we have with the track layer is we can actually remove track, and that's by pressing that button there. And it's useful in the UI there that we've actually gone to remove track mode. So we'll take the brake off and we'll actually remove what we've just laid. Not all of it, of course, because we know we need to go to minus 16 feet. Take use of the speed jump. I have to take a bit of a jump cut because the recorder stopped recording, there was an issue there, so we'll just ignore the little line of dirt there, we'll just do it again. So now we know that our current location is the same height as the industry we're trying to connect to, we can tell the track layer to go ahead and lay track level. Why is this a better option? Well, because we are working a dirt management system, we need to make sure that we're not wasting dirt. It is a very weird currency, so you have to utilize it as best you can and not wastefully. So now that we are at a height that we need to be, it means we don't need to waste the dirt, so we can actually lay that track down, utilize the dirt we have on board to build up the track bed again, so that we have a gondola that's still capable of laying some dirt as much as it is from taking a cutting from the terrain as well. Now we have gone down a little bit more than I need to be, so we'll build it up a little bit. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll slow this down a little bit, and we can see again with the terrain that the terrain actually drops a little bit here, so we can utilize a bit more of the dirt that we've built up. And as we approach the wooden bollards, we can apply a nice curvature, a little bit of brake. And what we want to do is we want to actually try and align ourselves with the two markers. The curvature of this line represents where we are projected to be, and this is our current orientation. So if we align ourselves with the industry, I'm just going to knock us down 5%, 0.5% to match up a little bit better, we'll actually get an icon on the UI which tells us something really interesting. That little marker there represents the join that we are projected to make. So let's see what happens. There we go. We have now connected our first industry. I'll put the track layer in reverse and jumped off so we can see exactly what's just happened. So you can see here by the track sticking up is how the height difference is between ourselves and the industry. And what that'll do is it'll automatically join up. Because we are joining from slightly further back than the end of the track, it automatically assigns us a point, which isn't an issue. We also have the option, if we wanted to take that track up, relay it and re-perfect it if we need to. It's a wonderful option and a really interesting mechanic. This is again why I said it's very important to pay attention to the height of the player, which you can find in the map here, and actually scouting around the map to find out the height of your destination. Another interesting way of doing that is you also have the ability on foot to apply markers, and what that marker will do is it'll tell you the height of the terrain wherever you place it. And you can see here, even in a very small area, that actually these markers actually differ by 0.1 or 0.2 or 3 of a percent, and that is really crucial when you're trying to map out across the terrain, and that's what these markers allow you to do. You can actually take a scout on foot and plan ahead. Now you join me back in level 2 of my current save for the game, and you can see here that there is a double-headed AI train, a very heavy double-headed AI train, and that's because it's come directly from a maxed out industry. In this case, it's come from the ore mine east. And there's a bit of a problem. You can see with these caution signs here, which are counting down, is that this train is actually derailed. Yes, there are derailments in this game. Well, that's because we have laid this track a very tight curvature for this point, and that tight curvature comes at the bottom of quite a steady, grueling gradient of 1.5%. And we can very easily see what's happened here. This train has applied its brakes in a very short time and not able to slow itself down. And that's because I've put a speed restriction sign at the curve itself. That's more of a slap on the wrist from my management skills. So what we need to do is we actually need to put a speed limit further back so the train can actually stop. There's no punishment of sorts for losing an AI train to a derailment. You don't lose the cargo and you don't lose anything on that run, but the only penalisation you'll get is a time front, and that is because there is a delay to re-rail that train, but that also combats the time limit that each industry offers each AI train to do a full return journey. So bear that in mind. This is another reason why you want to lay tracks efficiently. Too many curves, too much slow travel will really eat into the time limit that each industry offers its trains to do its full return journey. And if you can't obtain a full return journey, the industry will downgrade, and you need to keep them high so you can earn the money to buy more things. You can refill the track when parked in the station at home base, but there are other things you can buy. So you can see here you can buy super fuel, you can directly order track to your low loader, you can buy a minute of super fuel, you can buy another track car, another dirt gondola, you can buy another track layer, a slow locomotive, a medium locomotive, and a fast locomotive. So it's in your interest as much as it is in the industry's, not only to lay tracks efficiently and manage your dirt in doing so, but it's also very engaging, very unique. It can be very difficult. This game does not shy away from being unforgiving. If you make a mistake, there are very few options this game offers you. You can deal with it, you can try and fix it, or you restart. There is no unwind button, and I really applaud that approach because it makes you stop and think. The game itself allows the player to put the brakes on, map out the terrain, plan your networks, plan your tracks. There's no shame in doing that. The game wants you to build very efficient tracks, and there's no harm in doing that either. So that is a very, very brief and overwhelming look at Constracktion, and particularly the dirt management system, because I know a lot of people will need to really learn that mechanic to fully utilize it, and that's fine. So again, this is a pre-release version of Constracktion. The game comes out on September 1st, which is Monday. I'll be doing a live stream in the next couple of days. If you have any further questions, anything that you want answered at all, you can get hold of Lapayaway Gaming Studio. I hope you found this video interesting. It's been nice to do one again after so many years. Keep an eye out for the live stream in the next couple of days. Go over to Steam and Wishlist Constracktion, and I will see you all very soon.